You are listening to the Life Coach Business Podcast, episode number 84. Welcome to the Life Coach Business Podcast, a show for coaches who are ready to up-level their business and take their impact, leadership, and results to a whole new level. If you're ready to start taking powerful action and become the leader your business needs in order to grow and thrive, this show is for you. I'm your host, Amanda Karlstad, certified life and business coach and entrepreneurial leadership expert. Now let's get down to business. Hello and welcome, everyone. So glad to have you with me today. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing amazing. I have another very special guest for you on today's show. Today, I am bringing you another client interview with my client, Kwavi. And I'm especially excited for you to hear our conversation today because, number one, Kwavi is just an inspiration and she has been so amazing to work with. And she has grown so much in our time together. And I'm excited for you to hear more about her journey and her story. But before we dive in, let me tell you a little bit about her. So Kwavi is a certified life coach for midlife women. She's an author, a speaker, an entrepreneur, and a lifelong member of Team Have Fun. I love that. She's on a mission to empower 1 million women in their 50s and over to create the midlife of their dreams and change the world for the better. Clients have praised her as being motivational and fun and simple, yet also practical. And she inspires women in their 50s and over to take action, and while they're in the process of that, thriving and shining in midlife. Kwavi was born in London and raised in Nigeria and now resides in Atlanta. She lives there with her husband of 21 years and has 2 teenage boys. I am so excited to bring you this interview, and I want to give you a bit of context before we dive into things. So Kwavi and I started working together in late 2020. So it was actually November of 2020. And Kwavi just graduated from my foundational program, which is called the Mastermind, which is, for those of you who don't know, this is my business accelerator program, which is designed to help coaches build their foundation and create momentum, real momentum in their business so that they can grow to their first 6 figures and beyond in a very profitable and sustainable way. And I have to tell you, the growth that Kwavi and her business has experienced over the last few months has really, really been incredible. And we'll be diving into what that looks like exactly. We'll be talking about what Kwavi's business looked like before we started working together. And we'll also talk about where her business is at now and what she's been able to build as a result of our work together. But I want to encourage all of you, as you are listening to this conversation, I want you to be thinking of your own business and to really think about what might be possible for you. Because I know for all of you listening that I know you're ready to take your business to the next level in some way. So much like Kwavi was when we started working together, I know you're all at that point where you're ready to take that next step. You're ready to take your business, like I said, to the next level. So I want you to know that the business that you most want to build, the clients that you most want to serve, and the money that you want to make, I want you all to know that it's available to you. And my hope is that today's conversation inspires you and that you really can see through Kwavi's growth and success that just in a matter of a few months, even if you've been working like Kwavi to build your business for years, that you also can have a level of success, whatever that does look like for you. I want you all to know that it's available. So I really do believe that all of you listening are capable and have what you need to build the business you really want so that you can ultimately do the purposeful work that I know you're all being called to do and ultimately make the impact and become the example of what is possible. All right, with that, let's dive into the show. All right, I have a very special guest for you all today. I have my client Kwavi on today's podcast. I'm super excited for you to hear this conversation. Kwavi is a certified life coach for midlife women. She's an author, a speaker, an entrepreneur, and a lifelong member of Team Have Fun. She's on a mission to empower 1 million women in their 50s and over to create the midlife of their dreams and change the world for the better. Clients have praised her motivational, fun style and simple yet practical suggestions, which inspire women in their 50s and over to take action and in the process thrive and shine in midlife. She was born in London, raised in Nigeria, and now resides in Atlanta. She lives there with her husband of 21 years and 2 teenage boys. Kwavi, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. What a bio. What a bio. You are so special. I just have to say, the work that you're doing is, I love witnessing it. I love the work that you're doing in the world. So why don't you just elaborate? Let's start there. Let's elaborate a little bit on who you work with, the type of work that you do, and really how you work with your clients. Let's start with that.
All right. And so I work with women who are in their 50s and over. Now, even though I work with women in their 50s and over, I do have women in their 40s that kind of want to get a jump start into learning what they need to do to navigate this new path that most women find themselves. I love working with this group because I have found that it's not uncommon for a woman to get to her 50s and wonder, like, is this it? Like, what's next? And these are women who have done amazing things in the world up until this point. And all of a sudden they're like, what about me? What do I do next? And so I just want to kind of give women just a little glimpse of the possibilities for this next life, because for a lot of them, they think, no, life is kind of over. And I just want to show them, if they're open to it, that there is so much available to them. I just think it's just an exciting time, you know.
It is. It is. And what I love most, Kwavi, about you is you are such an embodiment of your work. You are such an embodiment of this in your own life. So I would love for you to just speak a little bit about your background and, you know, what brought you into coaching and what brought you into working with midlife women today?
All right. And so I really started off as a weight loss coach. And I worked with women in their 40s and over. And really that work started for me when I was 19. When I was 19, I was in college in the UK and I watched a documentary about food. And that documentary changed my life. It was right there and then. I started eating meat. So I was investigating everything that I put into my mouth. So I went on this path of just, it was really for empowering myself, really. And then I kind of started to help other women. Now, I think probably about 4 years before I turned 50, I said, you know what, I'm going to get prepared for this new phase in my life. Let me interview women. And so I just decided, okay, I'm going to interview women in their 50s and over just to get a glimpse of this new era. Yes. And unfortunately, 80% of the women I interviewed used this exact term to describe themselves. And the word was invisible. And I was like horrified. I'm like, invisible. You've done so much in the world. Yes. Most of them had kids. I'm like, and now you feel invisible. And that just made me realize that I told myself, you know, I'm just not going to help them with weight loss. I'm going to help them with these other aspects of their lives. Cause I could tell that, you know, confidence was lacking, you know, they had issues with menopause, they had sleep issues. So I'm like, you know, I'm going to help the whole woman. So, and that's kind of how I started this. So I started this a few years ago and I really love this because when you speak with a woman that just feels that all is gone, all is lost, and you're able to help her. And you just see that sparkle in their eyes when they realize, wow, this is possible for them. It's just amazing. It's a feeling that is just priceless.
It is. It is. You are doing such amazing work with them. So let's talk for a minute about when you and I started working together.
Yes.
Last year. and where your business was at and what
Yes.
was going on for you, because you mentioned that you've been at this for a while. And I think that's for everybody listening, that's really important to hear, that Kwavi has been, working to build her business for, it was a few years prior to us starting
Yes.
our work together.
Yes.
So
for sure.
tell us where things were at. Tell us a little bit about that journey leading up to that.
Okay. So for me, I was at that point where I was doing the things, but nothing was really happening. And
Right.
I'm going to be honest, I am not opposed to hard work. I'll do the hard work, but
Yes.
I wasn't getting the traction. And I mean,
Yeah.
Amanda's actually nice saying a few years. We're talking almost 10 years now that I was on this and nothing happening. You're being polite. It's been a while, but nothing was happening. I'm like, what is going
Yeah.
on? I'm doing the work that needs to be done. But there was
Mhm.
something missing. Clearly.
Mm.
And I had a discussion with a friend of mine, Sonia, and I was just
Yeah.
telling her, I'm
Yeah.
like, something's not, and she's like, but Kwavi, you have this drive. I'm like, I know, but something's not working. And she
Yeah.
introduced me to Amanda. And at first I was kind of
Yeah.
resistant. I was like, nah, I'll be okay. I'll just
Yeah.
keep doing it on my own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it got to a point, I'm like, I'm going to reach out to Amanda. So I had an amazing discussion with you. I remember that conversation we had. We talked about all the things. And as soon as I had that conversation with you, I just I know it. This is going to happen. She's going to be able to take me to where I need to be. Because the other thing is, when you decide to work with a coach, you want to make sure they see your vision. And not all coaches can see that for you. But as soon as I explained it to Amanda, she got it. She's like, I know what you want for yourself. I mean, she even went way beyond what I wanted for myself. And that, once she did that, I was sold. I was like, okay, this is the coach for me.
I love it. I love it.
And we talked about a lot of things, Amanda.
I know. Well, and you know what? And I could see that from the minute we got on the phone. And I see that every time we talk, Kwavi, every time, whether it's a one-on-one or just in our group calls, I see such a bright future for you. So what I was saying is that I appreciate that. Thank you for acknowledging that, because that is something that I do think is my superpower. And I do think is something that, honestly, it really helps my clients. That's why we can get such great results in such a short amount of time, is because we can cut out the things that don't matter, right? And we can really hone in on what is it that we need to be doing in order to build that. And that's the work that I really love doing, is to be able to not only see that, but continue to hold that vision for you. Because as we all know, like, this is not for the faint of heart, right? Like, this building a business is not for the faint of heart. And, for you to spend 10 years, almost a decade, right, working through, feeling like you're doing all of the things, like, I knew at that point too that it's your time. Like, I tell you all the time, it is your time. And it's so fun to now witness that and to witness this all happening for you, because it truly is. You're ready. You're ready.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So wonderful. All right. So go ahead. No, go ahead.
Now, I was just going to add, when you say it's not for the faint of heart, it's funny because even when I spoke with Sonia's like, but I'm just going to let you know, it's going to be real hard work. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Well, I mean, there's seasons in your business, right? Like, when you are building it, there's a season, and that season, in some cases, has to be, we have to actually build it, right? And so,
correct.
I think a lot of times there can be like this romanticizing that, like, this business is just going to fall out of the sky, like, this business is just going to, this $100,000 business, multi-million-dollar business is just going to float down from the sky. And the reality is that it doesn't. And we have to put in the work. There is effort that is involved. But what's on the other side of that is beyond, right? Beyond what we can imagine sometimes. And so I think when we can really understand that the journey is so important and appreciate that journey, right? And that's something I want to acknowledge about for you too, Kwavi, is that you're absolutely someone that I've observed that you really get that. You really get that this is not, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon we're running. And because of that, we've got to enjoy the process as much as we can, right? Even if it means we're learning new technology like you have in the last few months, right? Even if we're building a whole new program like you are, right? we have to find the beauty in that. We have to find the lessons and the value in that. And the more I think that we can do that, the less resistance we have in the process, right?
Correct.
So I think you've done just such a great job. And I do think that that's one of the reasons why things are really starting to take off in your business, is because you see that, you understand that, right?
Oh yeah,
you understand
totally. I definitely, yeah.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
All right. So you had been building your business for 10 years. So were you doing just talk to us really briefly about what did that look like? Was that one-on-one coaching? Was that groups? Like you had some different things going on. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I had different things going on. And I think one of the reasons why I really came to Amanda was I wanted to have a business that brought me consistent income. Because I would make the money, but it wouldn't be consistent. And for me, I was at the point where I'm like, I want to make a consistent source of income. And so I did different things. I did one-on-one, I did groups. I also do retreats, which I haven't even talked about. I also, did retreats. And so I was doing those different things in different ways, but those were like probably the three things that I did for my business over about the last 9 years, because it was about 9 years.
Yeah. So how were you building that? Like, what did that look like? Was it just purely kind of organic? Was it like, talk to us about what that was.
Most of it was organic. I did do some Facebook ads, but not as much. So for me, it was more Facebook. I did a lot of Facebook Lives. I would do Instagram. I would post videos. So I would say probably my platform of choice, I would say, was Facebook for the most part. And then I would build my list that way. So I also had my own list that I was building also.
Yep. What would you say, now that you have kind of a different viewpoint now, having gone through, my program and all of the work that we do in that program, when you kind of look back at that 10 years and you see, and you're able to see, okay, this is what I was doing before versus what I'm doing now. Like, what would you say is the big difference there?
I think one of the things that really helped me was, first of all, really getting clear on my audience. I think and be more specific, because I used to be, just over 40. And after I'm like, I'm just going to focus on women 50 and over. And one of the things that you make us do is also be very clear on who this woman is. Like, for me at least, who is the woman you're serving? Right. And I think that's really key. Right. And once you've done that, figure out a strategy that works and being open to experimenting. And even when it doesn't work, just realize that you've learned something through it. You tweak it and you move on, or you completely, decide that's not working and you do something else. But it's experimentation and not giving up because, that didn't work. Then, maybe no. It's like, do that and just keep it moving. And you're really good about that. Like, you know what? You're always saying that this is experimentation. We are experimenting. Let's see how this works. And one of the things too is, you don't, you said it, you don't romanticize it at all. You make it very clear that this is hard work. And sometimes you might do all the things for something and it might not work. And you have to be open to that. Because when I started with you, we just did weight loss. That was it, and, it was kind of working. I did the consults. It was kind of working. And then we switched everything. And then you decided, you kind of told me, why don't we try this? Let's do this, because you could tell I was passionate about helping women 50 and over. It's like, let's try this. Let's focus on this. And let's find proof of concepts. Because that's the other thing too. You can say you want to do all these different things, but if you don't have proof that it works, it's like, okay, you know what? It's not going to bring you money. It's not.
Yeah.
And so you're very clear about, let's do this. And also looking at the data. You're big on that. Like, what does the data show? And I wasn't looking at the data years before. I'm like, no, So that, when you add all that together, that clearly made a big difference for me.
Good. So let's talk about where your business is today. Let's talk about some of the changes and where you're at.
Yeah. All right. So one of the changes I made, which I'm very excited about, is I created a membership group. So I created a membership group called Flourish, and it's for women 50 and over. And I get so excited when I talk about Flourish because I see the growth in the women already. And I've only had it for maybe 3 weeks, right? I started it in April. And it's an online community specifically for women 50 and over so that they can flourish in a way that works for them. And I'm big on that because, everyone's style, everyone's goal is different. And so this is a safe space where you can grow the way you feel. It's like, if you want to go slowly, that's fine. If you want to go fast, that's fine. And I'm just giving them the tools and the awareness to help them just evolve into their next best self. Because it's unfortunate, but society is like really obsessed with the youth, right? They accept, it's like a very youth-driven society. So women 50 and over are kind of pushed to the side. And some of the women that I work with, they buy into that narrative. And so I'm helping them unlearn that. But most importantly, what I'm helping them learn is realizing that those thoughts that they hear, whether it's, outside or in their head, that tells them that they're not enough or they're too old, that's what we're working on. Because sometimes those thoughts seem like fact, but they're not. And so I'm helping them to challenge those and realize that, you know what, those thoughts can come up, but it doesn't mean you have to believe them. It doesn't believe you have to accept them as your truth. And so I'm just loving this work that I'm doing with the women.
So good. It's so good. And I would love for you to share. You shared with me just a few days ago that one of the women that just joined your membership, which by the way, you've already hit your first goal on your first group of members, right? That we met, which is so amazing. I love it.
Yes.
So let's talk about, if you want to share, because I just love this. I think this just speaks to this program. So the one client that had reached out to you that joined, and she said something to the effect of like, I've been waiting for this. This is like, right? Like, what was it that she shared with you?
And so I had a conversation with her, and she was at that point where she had done so many different things. And she was like, I am so excited. Like, this is what I need. This is what I want. She says, I have kids. And she even said, I'm an older parent. I have younger kids. But, I'm at this stage where I just know I want more. But she doesn't know how to go about it. She's like, I don't know how to navigate this. So in speaking with her, she's like, Kwavi, you are exactly what I need right now in my life. I mean, and when I hear women say that, that just brings me so much joy in order for me to kind of help them along on this path. And for them to see the possibilities that are available, because a lot of these women are basing their goals on the past, but I'm helping them see like, you know what, that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the future. Like the possibilities are endless. Like get ready for this ride, get ready for this adventure.
Yes, I love it. It's so good. It's so good. So let's talk for a minute how we've structured the program, how we've structured the membership. And for everyone listening, this is a brand new program. So it's super exciting. What I love, what has been so fun, I'll just say to really witness for you, Kwavi, is that I know that this is, and I've told you this is, I know this is like your dream program. I know that even when we met last year, when we, even when we started working and we were focusing more on the weight loss, I knew that this was really the direction that you wanted to go and that was most in alignment for you. And so I know we had to work through some things to get to this point, but I want to say truly this is, I know that this is what you're meant to be doing with these women. And I know you really feel that at a deep level as well. And so
for sure.
Being able to see this come together is just amazing and so much fun. So how have you structured the program? Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. All right. So it's a monthly membership. It's like an online community. So every week I release some kind of training. And the first training that I want all the women that come to the program to go through is the first module is called It's All About Me. And the reason why I structured it that way is because a lot of women at this age, it's not about them. And I tell them, listen, this time it's all about you. And I'm like, I really mean that. I want you to love yourself so fiercely that no one can even tell you any different. I want them to feel it in, to their bones that they are loved by themselves. Unconditionally too. Like, even if things go wrong, doesn't mean I don't love you. Still love yourself. Like, I want them to feel that. I want them to start building up their confidence again, where they feel they can walk tall, regardless of what society says. And so that's the first module. We're going to cover other topics. We're going to do health and wellness. We'll do menopause. We'll do sleep. We'll do style. I just want women in their 50s and over to stand up tall. And in the process, just change the world. Because a lot of them have gifts that they're not even nurturing right now. I mean, by the time we start to birth that into the world is going to change. And one of the things I really love, and one of my goals is to for women like in their 30s and 20s to see us and they're like, wow, these women are in their 50s. I can't wait to be 50 because they see what we're doing and how we're changing the world. And they just see that and they're like, oh, I want some of what they're having,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
like,
love that.
I'm so excited. It's so exciting for me. And it's a global program. You can be anywhere in the world and join. We have the weekly trainings every week. We also have coaching twice a month.
Okay.
We also have a guest expert. So we bring in someone and they'll just talk on the topic for the month. They'll talk about that and you can ask them questions. And we also have what we call monthly mingle where we network once a month. And it's just, we have like breakout rooms and we have all these different fun activities that we do because I also want it to be fun. A lot of women in their 50s and over have gotten to a point where it's like, okay, it's like, they're at that stage where it's like, blah, everything is blah. I'm like, no, we're getting back to fun. We're getting back to how we used to be where we're doing things and life is fun, where you wake up in the morning and like, what am I doing next? What's going on? And so I see that for them. And the thing is, what is beautiful is the women are beginning to see that for themselves. And it's only been 3 weeks, but they're beginning to see that. They're like, this is what I need. So I'm so excited.
I love it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this to grow for you. So let's talk a little bit about again, when you think about the process, like if you just a year ago, like where your business was at to today, right? So here we are in May 2021. I mean, May of 2020 was a whole different, right? Was like, oh my gosh, right?
Yes.
Like everything. So that was going on. But when you think about where your business was at then versus where it is today, did you think you would be where you are today?
No. Okay. So first of all, I didn't think I'd have a membership site.
Yeah.
Nope. And I think you can, and you can attest to that because I was like, oh, I'll create that in November. And you were like, but why not now? And I'm like, well, I guess not. And you gave me like a month to get everything together. And I had to change systems because I was using ClickFunnels. I had to switch to Kajabi because that had the membership site that I needed and the support that I needed for a membership site. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do all this in a month and, offer, a webinar and do all the things. But I did it.
Yeah. But you did it and you hit your goal, right?
I know. I was like, yes.
Your first founding members into this project, into this program.
Yes. So and these are people that don't know me. And I think that's what makes me even more excited. Yes. These are people that just got on the webinar, heard what I had to say, and were like, they're in. And I was like, wow.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about that, like just the marketing piece of this, because that is a big part of the program, right? That's a big missing piece that I see with most coaches, to be honest with you, is like, how do you just effectively market, right? How do you really put systems in place? Like, when you think about like the way that you were approaching your business, again, even just a year ago, do you think it would have been possible to launch this program?
No, because, okay, so this is the other thing I was doing. I relied too much on people that I knew. That's what I was doing. And, that can work for a little while, but not, after a while, you have to go outside of your circle. You really do. But I'll tell you this, it's scary to go outside of your circle. And I think that was the thing holding me back. But this time I'm like, you know what, I'm all in. And so I was on Instagram. I mean, I had Instagram before, but I was going on Instagram 6 times a day. Like I had it scheduled where I was putting posts. I created the post and I was posting. I'm on TikTok. I know most of you listening might be like, TikTok? Yes, I'm 53 years old. I'm on TikTok. And that's probably, I have more followers on TikTok than any other social media platform for me.
Yes.
I was doing TikTok lives there. I was putting myself out there basically. And I'll be honest with you, I am not one to shy away from, doing videos, but I wasn't doing enough. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think now I'm at the point where I'm doing more. I kind of had to get over thinking I'm doing too much because when I think, oh, that's too much, that's when it's necessary. And so I'm okay with it now. I'm like, I'm just going to put myself as much as I need to because one person can see you in the morning. Someone else can see you in the evening. Most times you're not reaching the same people all the time. And so for me, I'm like, this is necessary. I need to do this. I want people to see and they're like, oh, that's the over 50 life coach. I want them to resonate. They see me, they're like, oh, I know who that is. And so in order to get
Exactly.
that done, I have to keep doing it over and over again. So I'm okay
Yeah.
with doing that now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And that's what I love about you too, is you're not afraid to just show up and put yourself out there. It's been so good.
No.
The other piece that I want to talk about though is, so that's very organic, right? That's a very
Yes,
organic way, right?
exactly.
Just using the social platforms, which yes, there are clients everywhere for sure. But one of the things that of course, that I teach is how to properly run things like Facebook
Right.
ads and layer in paid advertising and how to
Yes,
put funnels together and all of those
correct.
types of things. Can you talk for a minute about that
Yes.
and how that
Yeah.
changed your business?
Yeah. And so, okay, so what we decided was we're going to do the organic route first. Let's
Mhm.
get the proof of concept working, and then we'll
Yep.
use that and create like the Facebook ads, the funnel, because that's what's going
Yeah.
to create a sustainable business. And that's what I want
Right.
for myself. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're in that process now of creating the Facebook
Yeah.
ads, the funnel, the email
Yep.
sequence, and getting all, because that's the only way you can scale. And I want to scale.
Mhm.
I want to have $1 million
Mhm.
business. And the only way I can do that is by doing these things. And so you're showing me
Exactly.
that. So I'm open to all of that. A lot of work, but I'm
Yeah.
open to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we ran some ads we
Yes.
ran when we were doing the weight loss, and
Yeah.
we had some traction happening
Yes,
there.
we
So we
did.
know, and that's really important that we have this proof of concept, and I talk about this all of the time, because once you have that, then you can go into paid advertising and have such a different level of confidence, right? Because it's
Yes.
like, okay, if have 10 people or 20 people organically that are raising their hand and are even better purchasing your program, then
Mm-hmm.
to be able to go into a paid advertising scenario, like, it just gives you such confidence, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's the position we're in now, which is where it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be
I'm so
so much fun
excited. I'm
to
so
go through.
excited about that process. Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be so good. So good. Amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk for a minute, Kwavi. I would love for you to speak to, because one of the things that is really important in this process is that we also start thinking like a 7-figure earner, right? If the goal is to ultimately be a 7-figure business owner, $1 million coach, which I'm all about that. And I want that for all of my clients if they want that, right? What are some of those inner shifts, inner changes that you've made as a result of this process that has really helped you start to embody that
I
level,
think,
would you say?
yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, just making the decisions and making them consistently, because that was one of the
Mm,
things I have to admit that I wasn't doing. It's like, I'll do the
okay.
work and then I'll stop. I'll do the work and then I'll stop. But I have to
Yeah.
be consistent because the decisions I'm making now, I'm making
Yes.
decisions as a 7-figure business owner, so that
Yes.
later on, it's like when it starts to happen, I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that was going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
I'm embodying that right now. I'm showing up as a 7-figure
Mhm.
life coach to my clients.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have
100%.
to do the work now. It's like I'm embodying my future self right now. I'm getting advice from my
Mhm.
future self right now. Yeah.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. I mean, this program is really the product of that, right? It's really
Yes.
a conversation with your future self, right? When you came back from your vacation and we had our one-on-one, and you said, I was thinking about this, and I could tell like you had a real serious conversation with your future
With
self,
myself.
right? Yeah, like where you wanted to take things. And I love that you did that, because that is so important. That's so important, to be tuning in and having those types of conversations, and really not just thinking about where you are today, but deeply thinking about where do you want to take this over the next 2 years, over the next 3
Mhm.
years, right? And being able to really listen and also trust, right?
Mhm.
Trust what you're hearing. That was a
Yes.
big, I know, when you brought that and said, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking," it was like, well, let's do it, right? I knew you were ready, even though you didn't quite feel ready. I knew you
Right.
were ready to take that leap. But it's, there comes a point where we just have to trust it. We have to trust the
Mhm.
process. We have to
For
leap
sure.
forward in faith,
Yeah.
right? Do you feel like that was a big part of this process, was just trusting the process and having
Oh,
faith?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Just trusting it. Because now I am at that stage, and I do this with my clients too. So I think because of that, now I'm, really comfortable with the idea of just do it. Like, just do it and
Mhm.
see what happens. Because the thing is, when you do it, regardless of the outcome, you're a different person. You're not the same person before
Yes.
you made that decision. And for me, that's
Yes.
important because that's how you grow.
100%. 100%. So what advice would you have? So we have a lot of coaches listening right now that
Yeah.
are at all different stages, right? So some may have been also trying to build their business for several years and maybe aren't quite getting the traction. Some maybe are just starting out. Some are maybe further ahead. Maybe they've already hit that first six figures. What advice would you have for them, looking back at the last 6 months and just kind of thinking about the transformations that you've experienced? Like, what advice would you have for coaches?
One thing I
Right
would
now.
advise, if you can, get a coach. It's so hard to do this on your own because you know what? You don't see. You can't see what's in your business. You're looking at it, but you're thinking, oh, this is what someone from the outside can see so much more clearly than you can. I think that's key. And maybe in the beginning, you can't do that, but as soon as you can, get a coach. It frees your mind up also because sometimes we spend so much time just spinning, like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? And you're wasting time. Guess what? You're wasting time and nothing is happening. And then you get frustrated, like, why isn't it working? Like, no. And one of the things, be consistent. Whatever you decide to do, be consistent. Oh my goodness, that has helped me. Like, even when I'm like, find the things and be consistent with it. And even if you do decide to use social media, I would say pick one or two. Seriously, don't do it all. It's just hard to spread yourself. You're just spreading yourself thin when you're trying to do all of them. You don't have to do all of them.
Yeah.
And with social media, there's always something new coming out the next day. Let it go. Yeah. Find what really, like, I'll give you an example. So for me, I do a lot of my work on TikTok. Most people are like, you're in your 50s, you're on TikTok. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? TikTok resonates with me deeply. That is who I am. I love to dance. I love music. And so I use that as a way to get to my audience. And my 50-plus-year-old clients are on there and they resonate. They're excited to see me. And so I'm able to kind of work with them. So find what works for you. And even if others don't get it, it's okay. Not everyone's going to get your vision. And it's okay. I always say, your calling in life is not a conference call. It's not for everyone to be online with you. You know what you want. Just go ahead with it. And so really be honest with yourself. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes we're kind of like, I want to do, no. You know what you really want to do. Find the platform. If it's Facebook, even if everyone says, oh, Facebook, doesn't matter. If it works for you, do it. If it's Instagram, because you love how it looks and it's pretty, that's fine. Yeah. If it's Clubhouse, if it's LinkedIn, but when you start to do 3, 4, 5, it's hard. You don't have enough time to even spread yourself across all platforms. So just find a few and just kind of make yourself known, but you have to be consistent. People need to see more of you in order for them to know you're really running a business. If not, it's just a hobby.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So what advice would you have for someone that maybe is at that point where they're like, okay, I know that I can't do this alone, right? Like I've tried now to do all the things, right?
Yes.
And I just feel like I'm at a point where I just need more help. I need someone to see that vision. Like what specifically would you say to them?
All right. So this is the thing. Know exactly what you want to do with your business. Because the one thing that Amanda helped me with is I knew what I wanted for my business. I knew where I wanted to take my business to. And Amanda's helped me get there. Like, what do you want for your business? Not everyone wants to be a 7-figure coach. You might want to be a 6-figure earner. And that's okay. You want you probably maybe you want to have a part-time business. You want to have certain days. Know what you want first before you decide on the coach, because the coach is not going to help you make that decision. They're going to help you strategize and get you forward. And one of the things I love about Amanda is she'll coach you too. Because I think the management of the mind is key in all of this. Because you might want to do all the different things, but your mind might be like, I don't think you can. And if you believe that to be your truth, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to take action. Amanda helps you with that. And so whoever you decide to use, whether it's Amanda or anyone else, it's important that you know what you want and make sure that that coach that you choose understands your vision and is ready to take you there. Yeah. And also too, ask other people she works with. Like I knew someone who had worked with Amanda. So that, it made it easy for me. I was like, I've seen what she's done with her. Okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Now you've gotten in the game. I love it, Kwavi.
Oh, I'm enjoying this. I'm like, I can't wait to see next year, Amanda. Like next year, May, It's going to be
Yeah,
amazing. I just know that.
it is.
And
It is.
and you know what's most importantly, you know what I'm really going to be just amazed by is the women in my group. I keep telling them like, wait for
Yes.
2 to 3 months. You're going to be different.
Yep.
I'm like, all of you. And I just love just having that group of women working with them because I grew up with two brothers. So I don't have any sisters. So I just feel like I have all these women as my sisters in this group and we're just working together, changing the world, So
Yes.
it's exciting.
I love it. I love it. Kwavi, you are so inspiring. And again, I just love what you're doing in this world. I love being able to help you do your work in this world. I just think it's so important. And I love the energy that you bring to it. I love how deeply passionate you are about it. So I want to just recognize you for that and for all of the lives you're about to impact, all the lives you already have impacted, and all of the women that you're going to impact. So for any of you listening, where can they find you, Kwavi, if they want to check out your program? Tell us where they can find you.
All right. So you can find me on my website. It's called www.kwavi, and that's spelled KWA, V as in Victor, I.com. You can find me on Instagram under @Kwavi, KWAVI_TV. And if you go on TikTok, you can also find me there @Kwavi, KWAV as in Victor, I_TV. So yeah.
I love it. And we're going to link all of that up in our show notes as well. So you all go check her out. She is amazing. Kwavi, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was such a pleasure to have you. I'm so excited for you.
Welcome. And thank you for all those listening. And remember, you are here to take up space in this world boldly and proudly.
I love it. I love it. So good. Thanks, Kwavi. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Hey, if you're ready for a real breakthrough in your business and want to grow and scale your business to at least 6 figures or more in annual revenue, I invite you to apply for my exclusive program, The Mastermind, at amandacarlstadcoaching.com/the-mastermind. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Life Coach Business Podcast. If you want to learn more about how to build, grow, and scale your business and accelerate your results, visit amandacarlstadcoaching.com.